If Atlantic City's finances go down the tubes, there's only one person to blame, and that's Vincent Prieto. The fact of the matter is this. I negotiated a bipartisan agreement with the New Democrats in the New Jersey State Senate. It passed overwhelmingly. This morning, his own Majority Leader Greenwald, announced that he's canvassed his caucus and spoken with Assembly Minority Leader Bramnick and said there are enough votes to pass the takeover bill in the Assembly. The Speaker refuses to post it because he is playing public sector union politics on behalf of his political boss, Steve Fulop, and on behalf of his own political ambitions. It's unacceptable. The solution is in the takeover bill, and I am not going to take responsibility for what happens in Atlantic City if I don't have the authority to fix the problem. And if the Speaker thinks that the authority exists, it just shows that he has absolutely no experience in an executive branch position. So it's very simple. The votes exist in the Assembly to pass this. Bipartisan votes have already been cast in the Senate, 30 of them, to pass the takeover bill. So I want to be really clear. Atlantic City's running out of money on April 8th. If this is not passed and put on my desk in the exact form that it was passed by the Senate, both the pilot bill and the takeover bill, then no action will be taken and Atlantic City will be out of money on April 8th. And the public employees who won't be paid, the services that won't be provided, they can all come to the Speaker's office and ask him why he will not agree with everyone else who has looked at this situation, including his own Majority Leader, who has said the votes exist to pass it. So believe me, if I had the authority to do what I wanted to do in Atlantic City right now, I would do it. I don't. And you know who else agrees with me? The Senate President, the Majority Leader of the Assembly, the Republican Leader of the Senate, the Republican Leader of the Assembly. And the mayor used to agree before he decided to get into the political game as well. If they all want to suck up to the public sector unions for their own political gain, that's their choice. But then they're going to have to explain to the people of Atlantic City and Atlantic County why they're allowing that city to go into crisis when it can be averted. But I will not put a Band-Aid on this problem. Atlantic City costs over $6,600 a person to run the government. We're standing in the City of Newark, the state's largest city. It's $2,800 a person to run the government in Newark. Never, Joe, did I think that Newark would be seen as a paragon of fiscal conservatism. Yet if you compare Newark to Atlantic City, it's nearly $4,000 less per person to operate the government in the City of Newark than it is in Atlantic City. In Atlantic City, a town of 39,000 people, the police chief makes $212,000 a year. His deputy chief makes $193,000 a year, and the deputy fire chief makes $198,000 a year. I would remind you that that's more than both I make and the county executive makes. And with all due respect to the police chief in Atlantic City, I don't think his job is harder than the county executive in Essex or the governor of the state of New Jersey. They owe $160 million to Borgata. I'd ask the mayor, how does he intend to pay it? I'd ask the Speaker, how does he intend to pay it? Because I'll tell you how Borgata's paying it right now. They're refusing to pay their property taxes. That's $3.7 million a quarter that they are withholding as self-help against the $160 million debt they're owed. There is only one way to do this, to give broad authority to the state to renegotiate debt and to renegotiate public sector union contracts. And if we're not given the authority to do that, then Atlantic City and the Speaker can do it on his own. So he wants to continue to play politics and be dragged around by the nose by his Hudson County political boss. That's his prerogative. But I'm not going to participate in that game. And by the way, neither is the Senate President or the majority of Republicans and Democrats in the New Jersey State Senate who voted overwhelmingly for this legislation.